Good morning, y'all. Good morning. Look, y'all know what time it is. Welcome into another episode or another iteration of the Washington Commanders Morning Show. We got a couple things to rehash from the past couple days. Sam Mills, Carson Wentz, and a couple other things that we're diving into. But listen, if you know me, you heard a couple of things that I had to say about Carson Wentz. But we got to make an amendment because some of this shit is getting out of control. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. Washington Commanders Morning Show is starting up right now.
Chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down.
I just appreciate everybody watching.
Watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
There we go. Good morning. Wake that ass up, man. It is time for some Washington Commanders football. Let's get the administrative item out of the way. Administrative items. I actually forgot. It's one more thing. If you are new to the Trap or Dive podcast, as always, make sure you hit that follow button on Twitch or subscribe button on YouTube. It helps the show's growth, man. It's truly appreciated. It's a short iteration of the show. Busy schedule today. And I'll get into that on the second administrative item. But later in the show, I will be opening it up to the viewers. Matter of fact, I'll open it up to the viewers to start it, and we'll have it open throughout the whole show. I think the link is already in the description, and if it is not, just in case it is not, let's go ahead and put it in the comments right now. Anything and everything, Commander, that you want to get off your chest, you can chop it up and talk anything that's on your mind. So there we go. On the agenda today, more theories on the Sam Mills firing just after some other things unfolded since it's happened. Some articles, some podcasts from people who've been in know with the situation, in the know with the situation. And then, secondly, we're going to talk about, we'll try to talk about the position rankings, depending on how much time we talk about with Sam Mills and the second person, Carson Wentz. So that is on the top of my mind today, Carson Wentz, Sam Mills. And then we'll try to dig into the positional rankings. The second administrative item. Look, man, I got some news. I have some good news. I'll share it at the end of this stream. I'll share it on this stream. You know, all the people who rock with the show, rock with the channel. Y'all are gonna be the people to get the news first. Don't let me forget, but it's pretty good. It's a step in the right direction for myself. And I will announce it later on Twitter as well. But the people who get the news first is the people who are locked in with the Trap or Dive family, the Trap or Dive channel, all that good stuff. So let's start with Carson Wentz. I think it's probably easier to start with the quarterback situation. And then we can put Sam Mills up second. Yesterday was crazy. And before I continue, y'all know what I need. Hold on. Let me go ahead and get my, there we go. I need my music. Yesterday was crazy, man. Like over the past week and some change, and I talk about it too, right? We talk about how Carson Wentz is, seemingly inaccurate in practice, right? And I think it holds merit to the whole conversation surrounding Carson Wentz. I think that's very important to really talk about. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I don't think exaggerations are needed. I don't think that like that being the sole focus of camp is needed, or like the main topic. And what I mean by that is, because I know I probably don't explain myself too well sometimes. I know on this show, before I branch out, I know on this show, like my concern, I said I was concerned with the parts of him being inaccurate and the offense not being on the same page. And if I didn't emphasize the fact that it was more about the offense altogether, and then the quarterback like being that glue piece, if I didn't emphasize the fact that I was concerned about the offense as a collective, that is what I mean when I speak on Carson Wentz. And I also don't want to make it seem like Carson Wentz is a terrible quarterback. Like, that wasn't my intention at all. I don't think Carson Wentz is a terrible quarterback, but I do think it's important for people to understand that, based on prior experiences, and when you don't see consistency for good, if you don't see a good effort at consistency as opposed to somebody being consistently bad, I think that's a problem. Like, if you see inconsistencies, then it's going to be hard to sit here and say all of a sudden things are going to click in the regular season or even in preseason. So my whole crux behind, my personal crux behind Carson Wentz struggling is more about how it'll reflect on the offense. And that's kind of where I'm at with this whole situation. That's known, that's clear. We got that out of the way. Lately, man, I said this, what's today? Wednesday. So I probably said this Monday. Yeah, it was Monday. Sometimes I just think that, trying to figure out the best way to say it. Because I know who I am. Sometimes I think, like, observations, if observed by the right person, can paint a terrible picture, and it drives a narrative, and it feeds into a narrative, and it becomes less objective, and it becomes more about building up something that's going to drive attention to what you're saying, because it's more explosive. It's not as balanced as it could be. And I think when people have a narrative that's in their head, or maybe an agenda that's in their head, it'll spread like wildfire on Twitter or social media if you have the right amount of following, or if the right people are following you, put it that way. So appreciate you checking in, Rich, and appreciate you checking in, 757. Yeah, like, if you have these people, if you have the right people following you, it can kind of, broaden your audience and things like that. And back to my original point, like I said this Monday, sometimes I just don't think that, everybody understands what they're looking at. So it's easier to be as vague as possible, but as explosive as possible. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm pointing it directly at one person. I just want to get out the fact that sometimes narratives are dangerous, and seeing on Twitter sometimes, how people react to something as simple as people, like a quarterback being inaccurate, like the hoopla for the lack of a better word behind the fact that the noise of a quarterback being inaccurate. Like, it's so weird how quarterbacks in Washington are covered, because there's an extreme microscope on guys. And I just want everybody to know, there was a lot of people who over the years have thoroughly examined quarterbacks who didn't need it, who didn't deserve it, and said, like, this could be our guy. So let's even go back in the 2010s. Let's go to the 2010 decade. We don't have to worry about anything past that. John Beck is the first one that comes to mind. Thanks to Shanahan, a lot of people believed it. So it's not our fault, but a lot of people believe that John Beck, the quarterback who rarely played in games, and there was a reason why he couldn't play in games, but he got the nod from a Hall of Fame head coach. He got the endorsement from a Hall of Fame head coach he went out there, assed it up, but fans loved him. They put him under that microscope. They tried to examine him to whatever degree they could. Then you get to RG3, because I'm going to skip the Donovan McNabb shit, because we were just like, he was a veteran. We knew who he was, all those things. I mean, to a degree, yeah, like Donovan McNabb was something too. We're trying to figure out why he got benched. We're trying to figure out why Mike Shanahan is lying about why he got benched. Turns out, I don't even know. Like, I know he talked about his basically his endurance being ass. But that is what it is. Continue going to RG3 under the microscope for the right reasons. 2nd round pick overall. Everybody wants to see what he's doing, but microscope every single year about every little detail about that quarterback. Every little detail. And then you get to Kirk Cousins, same thing. Every little detail. And then you see Colt McCoy, and a lot of people clamored for Colt McCoy when he was a backup. I don't think that people really cared for, every other attribute other than his arm strength. Like, they knew he was a noodle arm and he couldn't stay healthy. But Jay Gruden loved him. He could have came out there for Colt McCoy. That was his guy. So a lot of people believe that he could have been better than Kirk. A lot of people in the moment, believe it or not, it sounds crazy, but look, all these things are a culmination and a continuance of something that has happened in Washington for a long time. And again, let's fast forward, because we went through Alex Smith. I remember when Kirk Cousins left, I will never forget the tweet of a person, and I swear to, let me find it. I got to show you all this. Hold on. Let me see if she is still, it's wild that I actually still remember her name too. If she's still on Twitter, then I'm fuck it. Never mind. Anyway, I can't find it. Back to my points. Alex Smith fills in for Kirk Cousins after Kirk Cousins leaves. And this guy, that was Shanahan. That was Shanahan guy right there, 757. But Kirk Cousins leaves. Alex Smith comes in, and we're talking about how he's willing to challenge people downfield. Remember that crazy year, that last year that he had in Kansas City? He threw for the most yards that he's had. He was more aggressive downfield. They had a lot of explosive plays. So when Kirk Cousins leaves, we're talking about how great Alex Smith has been for this team and how aggressive he's been throwing downfield. She put up a post, the girl that I'm thinking of, she put up a post in training camp of him throwing a duck downfield. It was picked off, and she tried to make the excuse that I love the fact that he even attempted it because Kirk Cousins wouldn't do anything like that. 1, a lie. 2, a bad example. 3, he looked terrible. But overall, no disrespect to Alex Smith, because he was the most efficient quarterback, one of the more efficient quarterbacks in terms of turnover free and things like that Washington has had in the last decade. But just to that point, like we're putting these guys under that microscope because Washington does not have a history of quarterbacks. We don't have a good history of quarterbacks. There hasn't been a consistent stable in this whole franchise. Like, the last consistency that we had has to go back to Joe Theismann in terms of tenure. Like, it has to go that far. And even Mark Rippon to an extent. And I wasn't around for that. So, Kirk Cousins, Alex Smith. Now we move forward. Who was next? Dwayne Haskins. You get Dwayne Haskins in here. What do you do when you get Dwayne Haskins in here? First off, let's not even skip over the fact that Case Keenum was here. They didn't even give Case Keenum a chance. Skins fans, they didn't give, and even through the media, they didn't give Case Keenum a chance. And Case Keenum knew more about NFL than Dwayne Haskins did, and it showed clearly. Like, Dwayne Haskins was struggling with what he was seeing. Case Keenum is a veteran. He just came off a team who won 13 games, and fans love to remind Vikings fans that, you know, Kirk Cousins joined y'all mob. Y'all were 13 wins the season before, and now y'all haven't been able to reach that since. Well, guess what? Case Keenum was never that good of a quarterback in terms of that was a fluke season for him. But point being, they overlooked the fact that Case Keenum was on our team because we had Dwayne Haskins. And what did? We put Dwayne Haskins under a microscope. Every single time we put Dwayne Haskins under a microscope, we put these past quarterbacks under a microscope, every little detail is evaluated. And to the crux of my issue that I pointed to on Monday, half the time, and I would even go further than that, majority of the time, I don't think and believe, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, because I understand like there needs to be some sense of humility when people say things like this. I just don't know if people understand what they're looking at. I just don't think that's the case. So now let's fast forward to Carson Wentz. If you have an inkling, like an understanding of concepts and how a quarterback plays from a personal standpoint, a personal evaluation, okay, cool, talk to me. And I understand if you know football from a surface level too, cool, talk to me. But if you don't know the ins and outs or even what you're observing, the only thing that you can do is walk into the mix and repeat every single thing, every single cycle that you've been hearing about a quarterback. Can you break down the nuances of why somebody is struggling? If you can't do that, then talk to me. If we talking about accuracy, why is he inaccurate? What is he missing? What is going on with his receivers? Like, is there some type of disconnect? You talk to me. So when I see a tweet this morning and I hear somebody talk about hold on. Where is it at? When I hear a tweet this morning talking about how he's being described in practice, this is from who is this? Dove Kleiman. I don't even know who that guy is. He's quoting from Ben Standig, saying, quarterbacks throwing to receivers against air with no defense is the football equivalent of a layup line. Yet Carson Wentz has routinely bricked passes in various directions. Overthrowing or firing too fast, too far in front has been the most common issue. Inaccuracy issues dog Wentz during the final couple of seasons with the Eagles and his lone season with the Colts. In 2021, he had the league's sixth worst completion rate over expected. His misfires were cringeworthy during the final month of the season when the Colts did everything, blah, blah, blah. Essentially, he says Carson Wentz has had an assortment pack of misfires during camp. That's when I realized I had to make an amendment. An assortment pack of misfires is one hell of a way to describe the fact that you're running out of ways to describe he's inaccurate without giving any detail to why he's inaccurate. You tell us why he's inaccurate. And I don't have it's no disrespect to anything. It's just the fact that when you pile onto a narrative and you're running out of ways to boost whatever attention it is you put on yourself and how you're describing what you're seeing at practice, bruh, it's crazy. It's a crazy concept to me. Like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do any of that. And it's not just him. It's a lot of people in terms of taking pieces of information and trying to form a conclusion. Like, that's not the thing for me, bro. That's not the thing for me. So when I heard that this morning, bro, it was very frustrating because it's reaching the national level, and I'm not even sure that people understand exactly what it is that's going on. I think that everything is being repeated and recycled, and what they're missing is the actual detail or the bottom line issue of why this exists. That's where I'm getting at. I don't think that when people say things like that, they have any genuine intention on understanding what the issues are. And that's where I'm at. I know I'm staggering a little bit right now, but it's a little frustrating, man. Because I think that there's some sense of responsibility that people should have. And again, this ain't just on Ben, because again, Dove Kleiman he doesn't cover the Commanders. And I'm sure that Dove Kleiman is not the only person who has been regurgitating what he's hearing from other individuals, or other locals in camp and things like that. And sometimes even the locals in camp, again, it's not a disrespect to anybody. I want to make that clear. I just want people to understand that this is something that is not about Carson itself, but how microanalyzing these guys are for the quarterback position in itself in Washington. Like, are we going to talk about his accuracy every single day? Are you going to be able to Like, how is that going to happen? So like when I sit here and talking about what I'm hearing and how things are going on, I want to talk about it from a team perspective and how would it translate on the field. Again, like I said, when I started this zone, I'm more concerned about how, you know, his struggles will translate and how things will be picked up when it's 11 on 11 for 17 weeks in a row or 17 games in a row. That's what I want to know about. Is he going to be able to turn that around? Is the team on offense going to be able to turn that around? Not about just that one person. And I don't think Carson Wentz is in that upper echelon to even be considered an elite player. So that's where I'm getting at, man. That's where I'm getting at. It's a little frustrating. So I just need people to understand that these things are important. And when you hear comments like that, and when you hear people talk about the quarterback position like that, just open your perspective, open your horizon, and understand that it's bigger than Carson, man. It's bigger than that. It's more about the team and understanding things to that nature. Like, how does the team bounce back from a quarterback who's possibly struggling from a performance standpoint? How does that work? How does it translate to Ron Rivera, who made the decision to hire him or trade for him? How does that work for Scott Turner, who is hoping to get that his true offense on display on the field, and hoping that Carson Wentz can stay healthy enough to actually execute within this offense? How does that translate? That's what I want to know about. You talking about his accuracy every single day, Brad? I don't think that's productive. Find other ways to talk about the quarterback. What else are you seeing? How is he meshing with the receivers? What is he looking like throwing to the running backs? That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's what I'm trying to figure out, man. It's more about, and it's not about the entire media coverage. It's about understanding that when you do speak on Carson, there's a broader conversation to have as opposed to his accuracy. Just like, think about that. There's going to be a ton of other people talking about other situations moving forward. And I bet you the next hot topic item, whatever the hot topic item is, they're going to talk about it in uniform like that too. Like, they move with the wind, bruh. Everybody moves with the wind. So I would have loved to have the opportunity to see what the nuance is and why he's struggling and things like that. But people move with the wind. So when that conversation transitions, everybody going to talk about the next thing. It's no distinction. It's no variance. Nothing like that. So yeah, I had to make an amendment this morning, man. I had to make an amendment and understand that if I came across like I was bullying Carson Wentz too, I'm here to wait it out and see his preseason games too and the regular season. But if it ever came across like I thought that he was the problem or it wasn't going to work, nah, I'm more concerned about the offense altogether, because these guys banked on Carson. And how does Carson fit within this offense? That's where I'm at. I know I've been showing the comments throughout the rant. So let me go ahead and catch up. Actually, 757 mentioned, if we were willing to believe in Fitzpatrick or Heineke, we can get behind Wentz. Oh, Heineke too. I didn't even mention Heineke or Fitzpatrick. But you get the point. Like, we overanalyze Fitzpatrick, we overanalyze Heineke, like down to a T. Like, people think it happens with every single quarterback that they have, bro. That's a fact, Alex. Good morning to everybody who just checked in. Good morning to everybody that just checked in, bro. Our QB situation for 30 years has been laughable. I believe we should have grabbed Herbert and not Chase, but who am I? But question, did you think about that in real time or like in hindsight? And I'm not trying to like call you out on some shit, just really asking, because I definitely was not thinking about Herbert. I thought Chase Young was the guy. I thought he was a difference maker. But yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Position has basically been trashed for years, so the attention stays on that till we get it right. That's a fact. It really does come down to that. That's 100% fact. Let me go ahead and keep going there. The QB position is the most important position and the most criticized position. That's a fact. It is what it is, right? Like, it's okay to criticize. I just think that Like that group think. That's the word that I was thinking of this entire time. I think the group think is problematic. I think the group think is toxic. If you don't have your own opinion, then like, I mean, come on. If you don't have your own opinion of Carson Wentz, then that's, I mean, it may sound similar to others, but like, you don't have to repeat everything or something similar to other people. Like it can be very much your own way of describing something versus saying, oh, he's just not good or he's just not accurate type shit. Like you can be different. There were analysts that thought Herbert wasn't even the first round pick in 2020. And 757, yeah. Hindsight for sure, but true either way. Hey, respect, big dog. Chase is a beast. Herbert would have been better, essentially for years longer than Chase. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. Quarterback, definitely the ultimate outlier or equalizer for a team that's roster is depleted in a sense. I'm not saying ours, but saying like if you have a good quarterback, you can overcome a lot of things. So that's a fact. Okay, that's done. That's done. Let me get a sip of water and we're gonna talk about Sam Mills right quick. Hey, what y'all up to though, man? How y'all doing? How everybody doing today, dog? My boss. Shout out to my boss. But you know what I'm saying? He's taking a little vacation. We had a big meeting yesterday and that man said, fuck it, I'm through. I'll be back on Tuesday. So I feel him, man. I'm over here thinking I should have took off. If that was the case, I could have went to training camp this week. Hold on. Nah, because they're not gonna practice on Friday. Because the game is on Saturday. Fuck it. Never mind. I was thinking about I was gonna go to practice Friday, but nah, it ain't no big deal. Maybe Monday, if they have a practice on Monday, I'll check that out. But we'll see. Okay. Administrative items, because I'll probably wrap it up after this one. I'll do position rankings on Friday, and then we'll preview the Carolina Panthers game in a sense. But yeah, if you are new to the Trap or Die, man, make sure you're following on Twitch. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. As always, helps the show's growth. I will put the link in the bio or in the description, in the comments as well. Here we go. If you all want to chop it up, we can definitely do that. We're going to talk about Sam Mills right now and get this thing going. Okay, so theories on Sam Mills firing. Hey, that's funny as hell. So yeah, man. So I thought about some theories with Sam Mills and just hearing perspective from other people, some reporters, man, that I appreciate. John Keim spoke, I think yesterday, maybe on his podcast, that we all thought yesterday, we were assuming that it had something to do with Ron Rivera and Sam Mills directly. But that's not always the case. It's not always head coach, position coach, right? And it dawned on me after hearing a couple people speak. Like I said, Keim spoke on like player alignment and people not being in the best situation or best fit to kind of be as effective as possible. And maybe hey, that joint is tough, ain't it? Let's see if I have some clips, because that is a good point too. There's a lot of let me see what this one is. Okay, I guess this one works. I don't know. I don't think this is a really good example, but I guess for the sake of this conversation, Deron Payne is at like mostly between him and Tim Settle lined up at the nose tackle under Sam Mills. And when we talk about alignment and not being the best fit, I never thought that was a good fit for Deron Payne. Like he's more associated with like the three techs between the tackle and the guard, and slicing right there. Again, this ain't the best example. It's only one play, but it's something that it was a common occurrence throughout the season last year, and that's the reason why they brought in Fedarian Mathis. We spoke on that several times. But this kind of fit right here is important for the defense, because I don't think, matter of fact, is this one of the, let me see. Oh yeah, there we go. So this actually is a good example of a couple things. This is an example of a couple things actually. So let me just tap into this one right quick. So there's a couple things that we talked about along the 2021 season. One, player alignment is a possible reason for why Sam Mills just couldn't get right with the team and or the players themselves. Like Deron Payne, I'm sure he doesn't want to play zero tech either. But secondly, with these guys getting washed the way they were, like Deron Payne's getting washed. His rush lane is the A gaps. He has 2 A gaps, and he's completely washed. Like in theory, if Jameis Winston wanted to take off, he could, because Deron Payne couldn't maintain, his gap when he rushed. Like it's all about gap integrity, in rush lanes. So that's one person that has to get better in pass rush. Side note, when I speak about Deron Payne and his how big his year is for himself, this is one of the reasons why. Again, one example, but I watched the tape, so I can tell you this ain't one instance. This has happened. But in order to be like that money, the person that wants to get paid and wants to get paid handsomely, like pass rush is going to be at the big thing, and I hope that he steps up from his standpoint. But again, I don't think he wants to be playing zero tech. I don't think he wants to be playing those. So this is one thing in terms of probably why the coaches or why the players were upset with Sam Mills is probably being played out of position. But also just from an execution standpoint too, because you still have to do your job. And if you aren't able to do that and stay in your rush lane, then that's problematic too. Of course, what's the name has to make a play as well. The offensive linemen, they have to win too. So I mean, everybody has a job to do. But I just want to talk about the defensive side and how you execute. So we're gonna get. I see you, Rich. We'll talk about that. So yeah, that's kind of where I wanted to get at with this one in terms of alignment and not best fit. You never know who that came from, and this is where we enter the next person. Jay Gruden spoke on Chris Russell's and my boy David Harrison. Both of them my guys, man. Chris Russell, for those who don't know, is actually a really good guy. If you all get annoyed with him on Twitter, I'll just ask you if you had one conversation with Chris Russell. Like a real conversation with Chris Russell, you'd be surprised that he's far from what you thought he was. So random salute to Chris Russell, and he's helped me out. I worked at Sports Illustrated because of him. So until they change shit up, but I worked at Sports Illustrated because of him. So yeah, back to the point. He was on the Locked On Commanders podcast, Jay Gruden was, and Jay Gruden talked about a variety of reasons why Sam Mills could have been fired. And it could have been a disconnect with the head coach. It could have been a disconnect with the players. It could have been a disconnect with the defensive coordinator, Jack Del Rio. There's other theories that we weren't taking into account. It may have not been Sam Mills versus Ron Rivera. It may have been Sam Mills versus the players and Jack Del Rio, and Ron Rivera stood by his side. So we don't know exactly what we're getting into or what we got into and what the true reason for the firing was. But I think that we need to open our eyes a little bit, because if Jack Del Rio was the reason behind the firing, right? Well, buddy, if that's the case, you all out of excuses. Jack Del Rio is all out of excuses as we move forward, man. Sam Fortier wrote at the Washington Post late last night that earlier in this offseason, Rivera met with each of his coaches, and he told Sam Mills that he needed more from that defensive line. Now that's vague, so we don't know exactly what that means, but that was also according to three people with direct knowledge with the situation. So 3 sources, simple as that. So Rivera had that meeting with him, but who did it come from? Like, did it come from Rivera himself and his evaluation, or did it come from Jack Del Rio and Rivera's understanding of what Del Rio wants from that defense? Like, how does he want these guys to play? What exactly is the philosophy for the defensive line, and what do they do best? Is Sam Mills getting that out of these guys? We know the answer, that he wasn't. Clearly, he got fired. But who was behind it? And if Jack Del Rio believes that there was issues from day one, then maybe maybe Ron Rivera held on to Sam Mills way longer than we anticipated, or way longer than he should have. So for me, there's a ton of reasons that could have been the reason why Sam Mills got left or got let go. So all in all, regardless of how we want to spin it, there's no more excuses for Jack Del Rio. There's no more excuses for Ron Rivera. Everything right now is on these two. And the next person up, if that defensive line continues to struggle, it's not going to be, what's that guy's name? The new DC, Coach Z. Coach Z, one of these days I'm going to get his name right. It's not going to be Coach Z that's next in line to get fired. It's going to be Jack Del Rio. You can't fire another defensive line coach, especially a guy that you put in at that moment. Like, it's going to be Jack Del Rio that goes next. And if that defense as a collective up front continues to underperform, then I wouldn't even be surprised if it's a mid-season transaction or move that happens. Depends on how bad it gets. And that's gonna be important. Like, one of the things that everybody talks about now is how Coach Z is more vocal. And even in Sam Fortier's article, he mentioned how Coach Z is vocal for throwing a bad pass in a defensive lineman drill. Like, I know that's a small example, and I know he was just trying to get the point across that he's vocal. But being more vocal don't mean that you're going to get more out of these guys. Like, you can just be somebody who's liked and appreciated. But does that mean these guys are going to understand exactly what you want to get done and what these coaches want to get done out of them? I don't know. So I'm saying all that to say it's important for us to know from this side that we don't know which coach was responsible for Sam Mills getting let go. Jack Del Rio could have very well been a part of the issue that the players had with Sam Mills, and it just went down to Ron Rivera to make that decision because he couldn't hold on to him no longer, especially after giving him that warning in the offseason. So it'll be interesting, man. It will be interesting. Hey, maybe, Rich, maybe. All right, so I'll put the floor out to y'all. What do y'all think about Roquan Smith? I said yesterday that I would trade, for financial reasons, I wouldn't trade Jamin Davis because that cap hit is going to be significant. I would actually trade Cole Holcomb, and maybe with draft picks. I wouldn't even. I was thinking about offense at one point, but I would probably just trade Cole Holcomb and some draft picks because at this point, Cole Holcomb is on his last year of his deal. You can re-sign Cole Holcomb for cheaper in Chicago. We can invest in a middle linebacker that's a proven guy, a proven commodity who's not on the come up like Cole Holcomb, who has to establish himself in the league. I would trade Cole Holcomb and some draft picks for Roquan, and go from there. I would not trade Deron Payne. If you trade Deron Payne, you're going to have to ask for a defensive lineman back, somebody who you think can play the same position as Deron Payne. That's a good fit in this defense. And you have to hope that they're going to get that up. Then we can talk about Deron Payne being in the trade package. And maybe you don't have to trade away draft picks if that's the case. But that's the only way that I would trade for Roquan. I wouldn't necessarily do it if it involved Deron Payne at all. And I wouldn't even think that the Bears would accept anything less than a reasonably hefty package for that man Roquan, who apparently I think is a 2-time All-Pro. Let me take a look. Roquan Smith. Let's see. Who the hell said he was all pro? This man ain't no goddamn all pro. Oh, he was. Never mind. What's this? All pro second team? Okay. I see. All pro second team. But I don't know who this is for. Let's see. It doesn't say. I'm still trying to look. Oh, Associated Press. Second team All Pro Associated Press, 2021 and 2020. Facts. Ron Fool with his dad, I believe, stayed longer on the strength of that. For sure. Cheaper and possible better linebacker still available. Wouldn't give up nothing for old buddy. Trust the process. His numbers close to Cole Holcomb though. I think when we talk about numbers, yeah, statistically you get statistically, or stats get you paid. Excuse me, stats get you paid, but coaches know your skill set. If that makes sense, like they know your strengths and weaknesses. And are they willing to sit here and say that Cole Holcomb is an effective box player? Like he'll get his nose dirty and make plays consistently like Roquan would? I don't know. I wouldn't sit here and say that. I didn't know Roquan ran a 4.5. That's wicked. You ain't losing no athleticism clearly if you get Roquan. But yeah, say stats is one thing, but skill set is another. And when people look at numbers, sometimes you kind of have to identify. You have to look in between those numbers, like how did he get those tackles? What plays did he make? Like for example, did Cole Holcomb make a lot of his tackles on the perimeter, or did he make them inside the box? Like these are other things that you have to think about. And how did he make those tackles? Was he in pursuit, or did he win them head up? Those are just examples. I don't know the answer to that because I didn't look at Cole Holcomb exclusively. I looked at the defense altogether, so I wouldn't even be able to tell you. It's more so posing the question in terms of numbers, like how did those numbers happen? What did he look like? So for me, Roquan, I would take a wild guess and bet that Roquan is a much better player than Cole Holcomb, and I would easily trade Roquan for Cole, or Cole for Roquan, and move that way, and go from there. So that'll be interesting moving forward. In terms of like where he'll land. I don't think Washington will be a player. I think that they're very content, and I'm not saying that they're right. I just think that they're very content with the situation that they have, and understanding that Anthony Barr was a plan for them at one point. Maybe they'll if these guys don't look good in the first preseason game, they'll probably just dig into whatever they have in free agency. And that free agency pool it still has some names in there. Linebacker free agents 2022. Let's take a look who's still available. Spotrac. Let's see who is all types available update. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna share my screen. We can just roll down the list. So we have, man, move, bruh. Fuck out of here. Yeah, you got Schobert, Anthony Hitchens, Dante Hightower, Danny Trevathan, who's somewhat problematic, I guess. Got John Bostic. Y'all want John Bostic back? He can back up Cole. But nah, who else? Reggie Ragland. Like I said, there's some names, man. Alec Ogletree. If y'all want Will Compton, you know what I'm saying? We can look. Y'all talk to me. I'm saying we can reach out to that boy. Yeah, there's still some available names, so that's why I was like, I don't think they're worried about a Roquan, given how they played it this all season, man. They've already re-signed David Mayo. They're already getting a guy off the streets who hadn't played in a year and a half or some change, because he can run, and they say he can cover, which I don't know him, but if there's a consensus that he can't cover, that's concerning. And then you have this whole list right here. So I think if anything, Washington signs one of these guys if something doesn't work out, and they're going to try to fit him in the mix as the opposite of Cole Holcomb and see where it works out. But if they had that strength, that faith in David Mayo, then you never know, bro. Their options are limited. Oh, stop it. Oh, you like them. Okay, I thought you said you like as in current. I don't know, man. I think I was mixed. I was mixed on Will because he was around the ball just like that boy. What's his name? Mason Foster. They were both around the ball, but Will Compton wasn't necessarily that physical inside the box. And I'm sure linebackers don't really like to hear that shit for people who ain't playing on their level, but I don't think he was that physical in the box. And that's kind of what he was smart. You know, he knew what was going on, but in terms of like physically making a play, I think that's where he struggled. Fellas, I think we covered everything. Yes, Dante Hightower. I'm a fan of Dante. He's smart as hell too, and he's a thumper. So Dante, I'm cool with. You know what I'm saying? Dante, I'm cool with. Who else we had that you mentioned? Schobert, I'm cool with. Like, I'm cool with those guys. We'll see how that goes. But to this point, I'm gonna go ahead and step up out of here. But listen, I did say that I had an announcement to make, and I'm gonna share it on here, and I will announce it later. But I'll share it to the people, you know, who's rocking with the channel to this point. So listen, I've been doing this journalist podcast thing for like 6 years, bro. What is it? 26? Yeah, 6 years, bro. And what's going on, Hawk? I've been doing this thing for about 6 years, man, and you know, it's been fun, and it's something that I didn't tap into until I was 22-ish, 23. What am I? I'm about to be 29. So yeah, 22. I didn't tap into this thing until I was like 22 years old. So like, I feel like I did lose some time if I didn't see it in college, because I was always trying to get back to football. For those who don't know, I have Crohn's disease. I don't expose that information a lot, and I don't plan on mentioning it that much further. But it kind of, you know, it kind of ruined, you know, any hopes I had with football moving forward, moving past the point in which I stopped. But I say that to say, I was so focused on getting back to football in college that I didn't see the other avenues that existed for me. So for me, you know, this journey's been fun, bro, and I'm just been trying to figure out, you know, the lanes that I can go down, and I'm appreciative of everybody who's helped me along the way and all these things like that. And you know, the journey continues, and I don't know what it's going to make or what it's going to I don't know what's going to happen, you know, with how things are going for me. But I am positive about that. But I say all that to say, you know, I've always been, you know, blessed with opportunities through hard work and, you know, just getting, you know, that assistance to help me get some exposure. But with that being said, I have been fortunate enough to work with SB Nation for like 5 years. And at this point, I am now, I've been offered a opportunity to host the SB Nation's Hogs Haven podcast. So I've accepted that, and this is my first week of getting that going. So now at this point, I will be the host of the Hogs Haven podcast. I'm looking forward to seeing that venture and how that turns out and building on that side of things. And what that means for this channel, absolutely nothing. Nothing's going to change over here. But what it means for me is that there's a different platform that's going to be available from a podcast standpoint, where, you know, all the supporters that, you know, that's been rocking me for some time, you know, they'll have another avenue to hear different conversations from different people. Also, you know, because of the reach that SB Nation has, we'll be fortunate enough to speak with some more guests, and I'll share the content over here, right? You know, within the legal limits, I guess. I don't know. But I'll be able to share the content over here and kind of expose us to those conversations if you all aren't following the Hogs Haven side of things. But yeah, man, I am the host of the Hogs Haven podcast powered by SB Nation, all these things, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. And again, I will announce that later on today, but I definitely wanted to make sure that Trapper Dive podcast got that information first, because this is my shit, and this is the community that I fuck with. So yeah, man, yeah, that's it. Yes, I am. What's going on, T? How you look, T, I've been doing this thing for like, what is it, about to be a week, 2 weeks. I think it's about to be 2 weeks. Yeah, it's about to be 2 weeks. So yeah, hey, by hook or by crook, we just need to Trapper Dive morning. That's rolling with 214 Media. So yeah, man, I just wanted to share that with y'all. I think the first episode is actually probably gonna come out today. I'll put that together. It's gonna be a short one, but tomorrow is gonna be a preview of Saturday, Carolina and Washington. So yeah, I got some things going on, and that's why I said, today I can't go too long, because I got some other things to take care of. Work wise, I have to, obviously, day job comes first. I have to make sure everything's situated, and then I gotta get focused with the Hawks Haven, just get the ball rolling on that side. So yeah. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, so look up, it's on all podcast platforms. So just look up Hawks Haven, it'll pop up, and you can sub up over there. So that ain't nothing. Again, for those who are just checking in, I got some things to take care of. So I'm sorry that this was a short stream, but if you rewind it back, you will understand that we had some really good content to discuss. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. I'm gonna handle my business, but I will be back on Friday, because we're previewing everything Commanders. Oh, tonight is all 32 stream. I don't know why I almost let that slide. So I'm back tonight as well. We're all doing the all 32 with my boys Nick and Rap, talking everything outside of the Washington Commanders. If you are a fan of football in general, that's gonna be a space for you as well. So I'll see y'all tonight, and then again on Friday. Y'all boys, y'all ladies, be safe, all that good stuff. We up out of here, man. Oh Lord, I done fucked up. What is on that? There we go.